Hello everyone, welcome to Bajirao IAS Academy, the Hindu News Analysis. Today is 1st August 2025 and today we have some very important topics. So one by one, we'll be discussing these topics in a detailed manner. And the first topic that has been given in the Hindu newspaper, and this topic is very important. So let's understand this topic in a detailed way. So recently, US President Donald Trump made certain remarks against India's economy. So he called Indian economy a dead economy. So therefore, let's understand the context. Now, how Indian economy has been performing over the years. So is really Indian economy a dead economy? So let's understand this. And this is a very important topic and article as well, because we're going to get a lot of information about Indian economy in this article. Now, what is the context? So the context is that now if you look at Indian economy, now this Indian economy is being described as a fact-rich story, because now the Indian economic performance can be very well known by the facts, and because of this reason the Indian economic growth or the economic story is called as a fact-rich story, because Indian economy is known for the resilience, the fastest growing major economy in the world, and energy security as well. And in fact, all the data that we have about the Indian economy, this data can counter the claims made by US President Donald Trump that Indian economy is a dead economy, but that is not true. Indian economy is not a dead economy. Indian economy is one of the fastest growing major economies in the world. However, so this positive narrative about Indian economy, that India is one of the fastest growing major economies in the world, is actually supported by the latest economic survey 2024. And in fact, it is also reflects the current Indian economy's economic trajectory or growth trajectory. Now, this is obviously true that even if you compare Indian economic growth with countries like US and China, so India has been growing at a faster pace, and that is very important to grow or to achieve the claim of Viksit Bharat, that by 2047 we wanted to become a developed country. So since India wanted to become a developed country by the year 2047, so it is very important that India needs to grow at a faster pace. And the resilience that the Indian economy actually has is very important to achieve the objective, that the goals. Now, I would like to add a few more things here. Now, one is, as of now, India is the 4th largest economy in the world. And very soon, India is also going to become the 3rd largest economy in the world. So therefore, India is not a dead economy. Now, if you talk about this, in 1991, this economic crisis that we have faced in 1991, so this 1991 economic crisis led to liberalization, right? So it has led to liberalization, creating a turning point in India's growth trajectory, and also setting a stage for significant economic reforms as well, because after 1991 economic crisis, India introduced LPG reforms. So this is also called as liberalization, privatization, and globalization, right? So therefore, this 1991 economic crisis has led to this LPG reforms, including changes in policy rates and the government spending patterns as well. And in fact, now India became one of the fastest growing economies. To some extent, we can give the credit to the 1991 economic reforms. And in fact, after that, the COVID-19 pandemic has also a severe setback to the major economies across the world. But India's economy is a resilient economy. So Indian economy was able to withstand the negative effect of the COVID-19 pandemic as well. Now India again re-emerged as one of the fastest growing economies in the world. However, during this COVID-19 pandemic times, there has been a surge in the digital or digitization. So there was an excess push towards digitization during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now this excess and sustained push during the COVID-19 pandemic has led to the structural transformation and the digital transformation, right? So it has resulted in both structural and digital transformation across different sectors of the economy. So that includes artificial intelligence, intellectual property, and also it affects the capital markets as well. Now there are some emerging technologies, for example artificial intelligence, Internet of Things. Now in fact India is now performing well in all these different technologies. To some extent this success can be assumed to the digitization that India has achieved over a period of time. However, there are the geopolitical conflicts, the Russia-Ukraine war, Israel-Gaza conflict, and US tariffs on India. So there are global doubts in today's time. Despite such doubts, Indian economy demonstrates faster growth. So again, I would like to reiterate that India is the fastest growing major economy in the world. India has been growing at a faster pace compared to the major economies of the world. And we have a strong financial buffer as well. Now if you look at the forex reserves that India have, they're close to 700 billion. Don't you think that it is a strong financial buffer for us? And apart from that, we also have broader opportunities. When I say broader opportunities, demographic dividend is an opportunity, and a conducive business environment, a conducive business climate is also a broader opportunity that India has provided for the FDI or the potential investors. So therefore there are a lot of opportunities in India. So all these things have been showcasing India's economic resilience. So it means India can grow at a resilient pace, and the in the present geopolitical uncertainty. So it is true, we can say that as of now the world, if you look at the world, there are geopolitical uncertainties. The Russia-Ukraine war, Israel-Gaza conflict, and US imposing tariffs on India and other countries, right? So this trade war, a kind of a conflict. So therefore we can say that the world has been going through an uncertain phase, and the currency exchange rates are also fluctuating. So despite all these negative headwinds to the global economy, Indian economy has been fairly performing well and better, right? So that is a good thing. So however, let's understand the global economic standing for India. Now where India stands in the global economy. Now as of now, India is the 4th largest economy in the world, and very soon India will become the 3rd largest economy as well. And in fact it is the fastest growing major economy because Indian economy is growing at 7% per annum. And in fact US has been the first largest economy or the largest economy in the world, and China is also the second largest economy in the world. But India is growing higher than these two top economies. In terms of the GDP growth rate, India is growing much faster pace compared to these two countries. So therefore it actually showcases India's resilience. So India's economic performance is resilient, and also India has been attracting a lot of foreign direct investment into it, because one thing that we should understand is India is the largest market along with the conducive business environment. So that could actually facilitate FDI, right? In fact, India is on a track to overcome Germany to become the 3rd largest economy in the world. So Japan was the 4th largest economy, and India overtook Japan to become the 4th largest economy, and very soon it is expected that India will overtake Germany as well to become the 3rd largest economy. So thereby India would shape the global economic outlook and it can potentially impact the current account deficit as well. Right, so let's understand some other important aspects with respect to the Indian economy. Now, in fact, Indian economic growth, there are doubts that whether Indian economic growth is inclusive in nature or it is driven by inequalities. And in fact, if you look at India's performance in terms of bringing number of people out of the poverty cycle, we can say that India's economic growth is sustainable and also inclusive, because around 24.82, so this much number of people, 24.82 crore people, have been moved out of the multidimensional poverty in 1 decade. So in 1 decade, India is able to bring 24 crore people out of the poverty cycle. So therefore, it showcases India's growth rate is inclusive in nature. India's growth is resilient and inclusive in nature. And therefore, it also addresses the income inequality, at the same time effectively leveraging the demographic dividend. Now, what is a demographic dividend? The number of working age population. Right, so the number of working age population is called as demographic dividend. So India is a country with world's largest demographic dividend, and it provides us a demographic window up to a certain period, and within that certain period we must utilize the demographic dividend for our growth and development. Only then India will become a developed country by the year 2047 or Viksit Bharat by 2047. So let's understand, there are certain factors which have been guiding India's overall growth and development, particularly inclusive growth and development. Now, what are the factors which are contributing for this? For example, the bank account access. Now remember, we have discussed about this. Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana program has been launched, and this Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana program, so it ensures universal access to bank account or the financial services. So therefore, it plays an instrumental role in ensuring financial inclusion in India. And apart from that, the clean cooking fuel. So clean cooking fuel has also been provided to eligible poor women under the Ujjwala program as well. And health insurance has also been provided, right? So Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. So this is also another very important program that has been providing 5 lakh rupees of health insurance to every household in India. And the tap water supply, Jal Jeevan Mission. So through Jal Jeevan Mission, tap water supply will be provided and has been provided by the government to number of eligible beneficiaries, and along with that the direct benefit transfer as well, so that the corruption leakages can be minimized. Now through direct benefit transfer, what happens is that the intermediaries will be eliminated. So once intermediaries will be eliminated, there is no scope for the corruption and leakages. The eligible beneficiaries would get the benefits of the government welfare programs. Now let's understand about India's energy security, because why US President Donald Trump has imposed tariffs on India? Because India has been importing oil from Russia. Now US President Donald Trump has imposed 50% tariffs on Indian goods. So let's understand India's energy security scenario. Now I have been emphasizing that 85% of the crude oil that we consume, we have been importing. So out of 100% that we consume, 85% of crude oil we have been importing from other countries. So therefore, it is very, very important that India need to achieve this energy security, because energy is very important for an economic growth and economic development. So India, as of now, the third largest energy consumer. Now, along with the third largest energy consumer, India is also the fourth largest refiner. and fourth largest LNG importer as well. So these are some facts that you must remember, because these facts will be handy for you. However, according to some estimates, if you look at the future demand of energy in India, or for India, so the energy demand currently, we have a huge energy demand, and this energy demand will double by 2047. So it is going to increase by 2047. So therefore it is very important that we need to achieve resilience. We need to achieve Atmanirbharata in energy security as well. And in fact, India also accounts for 25% of the global incremental demand as well. So let's understand the Make in India push. Now, what are the programs, what are the schemes which have been launched to further promote Make in India program? And this Make in India will make India a global manufacturing hub, and at the same time it can generate gainful employment opportunities for India's youth, and it can also effectively use the demographic dividend as well. Now, in fact, there is a new industrial revolution push that has been given by the government, looking at the conditions in our country. Now, the semiconductor mission has been launched to promote the manufacturing of semiconductors in India, because it is believed that semiconductors will be the future. Electronics, renewables, defense, specialty chemicals, and boosting the manufacturing, right, and the industrial production through number of programs. For example, the government has announced the production linked incentive scheme, and apart from that, in order to improve the logistics, the government has launched PM Gati Shakti logistics backbone. Right? All these programs essentially aimed at making India a manufacturing hub of the world. So we have a huge coastline, and this coastline will help India to export those manufactured products to the rest of the world as well. Now, in fact, China has achieved a huge and tremendous growth because it is a manufacturing hub of the world. So China exports more goods than what it consumes, right? And let's understand India's economic performance over the period of time. Now, if we talk about India's economic performance by 2038, so India is going to become world's second largest economy in PPP terms. Now understand, the purchasing power parity is different from the GDP, right? So the purchasing power parity is calculated based on the basket of the goods and the purchasing power of two different currencies. Now, as of now, India is the third largest economy in terms of the purchasing power parity. However, it is expected that by 2038, India is going to become the second largest economy in purchasing power parity terms. Now, India's GDP in terms of purchasing power parity will be 34 trillion. Right, so according to some data, some report. Now, as of now, India's GDP is 4 trillion in terms of GDP, and India is also the fourth largest economy in the world. However, the economic trajectory relies on a steady economic reforms. Now, if I say economic reforms, so we have a demographic dividend. So demographic dividend will provide us a demographic window. So within the demographic window, we need to develop, we need to achieve all our goals and objectives, right? So for that, we need to develop the human capital, or human resources development is very important. Now, along with that, the labor reforms is also another important arena that we need to focus on. Energy security, right? So energy security. So when I say energy security, not just crude oil, but the renewable fuels and green hydrogen and nuclear energy, So all these different forms of energy, so that we can meet the energy demand, because according to an estimate, by 2047 India's energy demand will double, right? So India's energy demand will double by 2047. So therefore we need to bring reforms in number of sectors. So we need to capitalize the existing demographic dividend. The existing demographic dividend need to be used for the economic benefit of our country. And the workforce productivity is also very important. So how can we ensure workforce productivity? Through skilling, through upskilling, reskilling. So through all these means, we can increase the workforce productivity as well. For example, there are a number of programs that the government has already launched for skilling people. For example, Pradhan Mantri Kaushalya Vikas Yojana, etc. However, in the past, India has responded to doubts with Green Revolution and IT Revolution. So we have achieved a green revolution, started green revolution, or there is a substantial increase in the production of food grains after the green revolution, and IT revolution after 1990s. And in fact, both green revolution has ensured food security for our country. And in terms of IT revolution, so it has become the global export hub, the global service sector hub, the global service sector hub, right? So these things have helped uplift millions of people through education and enterprise. And today is another crucial moment for India. So India is at the crucial juncture where India must stay focused with relentless reforms and rapid democratic and inclusive growth. Now remember that India is a country with a huge population. So therefore, inclusive growth that addresses the needs of all sections of the society is very important. And India continue to maintain its democratic path as well. And apart from that, there is a need for a rapid and sustainable growth as well. And we should emphasize on balanced growth and development. So therefore, in this context, the benefits of growth are intended to reach the most undeserved communities, marginalized sections of the society, the disadvantaged sections of the society. And we have certain problems. For example, income inequality is one problem, and we have regional inequalities as well. So we need to manage all these challenges, and that's very, very important and crucial for a country like India. Because according to some estimates, the income inequality has also been rising at a significant scale in India. So you cannot become a developed country unless you address such income inequalities. And we have a vision called Viksit Bharat Vision. So PM Modi announced this Viksit Bharat Vision by 2047. So therefore, in order to become a Viksit Bharat, you need to focus on all the sectors. You need to bring a lot of reforms. And in fact, so it is expected that India will become a Viksit Bharat or developed country by the year 2047. So let's understand the next important topic. So recently, an NGO which works on girls' education has won the Raman Magsaysay Award. So this NGO from Rajasthan, so which engages in girls education, wins the Raman Magsaysay Award. So this Raman Magsaysay Award is called as Asia's Nobel Prize, right? So this is known as Asia's Nobel Prize. So therefore it is significant and important. So let's understand the context of this topic. So if we talk about the context, educate girls. The name of the NGO is Educate Girls. So this is an Indian NGO, and it has been founded in 2007 by Safina Hussain. So Safina Hussain founded Educate Girls NGO, and it becomes the first Indian organization to win 2025 Raman Magsaysay Award. And this Raman Magsaysay Award is also known as Asia's Nobel, right? So Asia's equivalent of the Nobel Prize, because the NGO called Educate Girls has been actively engaged in educating the young girls, reducing or preventing the dropout rates, increasing the enrollment of young girls in schools. So this is an exceptional work that has been performed by this NGO. So therefore this has been recognized with the Raman Magsaysay Award. So let's understand, the Educate Girls NGO. So this Educate Girls NGO was founded or started in Rajasthan in the year 2007 by Safina Hussain, and its official name is Foundation to Educate Girls Globally, right? So this is its official name. Now what is its mission? So its mission, it focuses on out of school girls in rural and backward areas. Because of number of reasons, these young girls are not able to attend the schools, and this NGO essentially encourages the parents and the children to attend the schools and reduce the dropout rates as well. And it also ensures retention and completion of education up to higher levels, and it works through community mobilization and government participation as well, right? So therefore it is a collaborative effort between the government, civil society and this NGO to improve the education among young girls. Now what impact it has on young girls? So it has mobilized communities to reduce gender disparity in education, and it has also helped thousands of girls overcome barriers like poverty, domestic responsibilities and societal bias as well. So this is how it has created a huge impact on young girls, and also played an instrumental role in educating these young girls. Now if you look at the literacy rates in India, so in India, women have a less literacy level compared to the male, and there's a gender divide in education. There's also a digital divide as well. So therefore this NGO plays a very, very important role to bring education close to the young girls. So let's understand some important facts about this Raman Magsaysay Award. So what exactly this award? So Raman Magsaysay Award was established in the year 1957, and it was named after Philippines President Raman Magsaysay. And in fact this Raman Magsaysay Award is considered as Asia's highest honor, or Asian Nobel Prize as well, right? So you have to remember this, because it is also known as Asian Nobel Prize. And this Raman Magsaysay Award, so it recognizes the exceptional work in the arena of public service, leadership, peace, literature and community development, along with the arts as well. So therefore it recognizes all these important fields. And the 67th Raman Magsaysay Award will be presented on November 7, 2025 at a Metropolitan Theatre, Manila. And in fact the winners of the Raman Magsaysay Award will receive a medallion, a certificate and cash prize as well. Now other 2025 awardees including Shahina Ali, who is from Maldives, and she has been working for the environmental conservation and sustainable development, and Flaviano Antonio L. Villanueva from Philippines for the humanitarian work have been selected for the Raman Magsaysay Award, right? So I hope you have understood this, and let's move on to another important topic, which is green credits. Now you might have come across the green credits, carbon markets. Now what are these green credits? What are the carbon markets? So let's try and understand this in a detailed way, but let's understand the topic first, because it is very important, right? The context is that recently Union Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, so it has revised rules under the green credit program. So we'll be understanding the green credit as well. So what exactly is a green credit, or a carbon credit as well, right? So there are terms called green credit and the carbon credit. We'll be understanding them as well. So recently Union Environment Ministry has revised rules for the green credit program, and in fact the Environment Ministry linked credits to tree survival and canopy density rather than mere numbers. Now, what is a green credit? What is a green credit? For example, imagine that there is an individual, and this individual has taken up afforestation. So afforestation in a certain area. So if this afforestation is eligible for the green credit, if this afforestation is eligible for a green credit, because the government will mandate that a certain area need to be afforested to get one green credit. So if this individual meet the criteria, the government will give a green credit to this individual. Now this individual can get benefits out of this green credit. So this green credit can be sold to an industry or in the market as well. So therefore it will result in the financial incentive for this individual. Now here green credit is a permit. Green credit is a permit that has been given to this individual, recognizing his positive contribution towards the environment, so including afforestation and waste management, or all these different programs are being recognized for giving green credits. Now in this context, the Union Environment Ministry, so it has revised rules for the green credit program. Now it says that the green credit will be given to those individuals, those organizations, and it is actually based on tree survival. Okay, this individual planted a huge number of trees, but it based on survival. It is actually based on survival, whether those plants survived or not. Now along with the survival, canopy density is also very important. Now recently what happened in Australia was individuals planted trees in barren lands, and the Australian government has also given the green credits to those individuals who have planted trees. But later what happened was the plants started dying. So there is no survival of those plants, right? So therefore it actually depends on the tree survival along with the canopy density rather than the mere number of trees that one individual planted. Now green credits will now be awarded after 5 years, only if 40% of the canopy density is achieved, right? So the green credits will now only be given after 5 years to understand the tree survival and canopy density, right? So once the canopy density is assessed and tree survival rate is announced, only after 5 years the green credits will be given to individuals and organizations, only if that particular afforestation program has achieved at least 40% of the tree density. Now let's understand the key changes in this new methodology that the government has introduced. Now firstly, as I've already told you, green credit is a permit. So it refers to a unit of an incentive provided to a specific activity delivering positive impact on the environment, right? So which is called as the green credit. Now earlier rule was a green credit will be given to an organization or an individual within 2 years based on 1100 trees per hectare benchmark. For example, you have planted 1100 trees per hectare land, and you will be given a green credit after 2 years without assessing the survival rate of these plants and also without assessing the canopy as well. But now the rules have been changed. The revised rules including credit to be awarded only after 5 years of plantation efforts. and it must achieve minimum canopy density of 40% and ensure the tree survival. So there is a need for a minimum canopy density of at least 40% and also need to ensure tree survival as well. And one green credit is equivalent to one surviving tree of more than 5 years verified by designated agencies, right? So one green credit is equivalent to one surviving tree of more than 5 years with verified designated agencies. And in fact, these green credits they will be non-tradable and non-transferable as well, except between company and its subsidiaries. And in fact, the credit generation, the green credit generation, will depend on quality, density, survival rather than just numbers as well. Now let's understand about this green credit program. So this green credit program has been launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi at UN Climate Conference in Dubai, COP28. And the objectives of the green credit program. So this incentivizes the voluntary environmental actions. For example, you are an individual and you wanted to contribute positively for the environment, and you have taken up an afforestation drive, and you will be given a green credit to recognize or incentivize your contribution, such as a tree plantation, afforestation will be recognized, water conservation, waste management, and air pollution reduction. So these are some activities under which you will be given green credits. Now if you look at the framework, it actually provides a market-based trading of green credits on a designated platform. Now, so if we talk about the implementation, companies, groups, individuals, so they are being allotted degraded forest land via state forest departments for plantation and the restoration activities. So what is the utility of this green credit program? So the credits can be used for the compensatory afforestation. Compensatory afforestation, for example, you are an industry and you would like to establish an industry, and this industrial establishment leads to cutting down a number of trees. So you will be given an alternative area, and in that alternative area you need to plant the number of trees in those areas, so as a compensation. So this is what is called as the compensatory afforestation, and meeting the CSR obligations and reporting under the environmental, social, and governance leadership indicators. Right, so there's a difference between the carbon credits and green credits. So green credits will be given to an individual or an organization, so if they voluntarily contributes or bring a positive environmental change, for example, afforestation, air pollution reduction, waste management, so all these activities. But with respect to the carbon credits, for example, a country or an industry, if it reduces the greenhouse gas emissions through renewables or through adoption of energy efficiency methods, so that industry or country will have the carbon credits, and those carbon credits will be sold to those industries which have exceeded the existing quota as well. Right, so this is the difference between the green credits and the carbon credits. So apart from that, you can also go through the other differences between the green credit and carbon credit. So anyway, that's all in this lecture, and thank you so much.